welcome to this Business Owner Masterclass. It is about how to grow your business and reduce your stress. The thing we all want. I was speaking to somebody the other day at a networking event. Hello to those of you just joining us. I was speaking to someone the other day and they were asking me, they said, Joe, what do you do? And I said, well, I hope business owners grow more successful businesses and less stressful businesses. And he just kind of looked at me in disbelief and going, well, we all want that. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I do it. And I know it works, but people are sometimes a little bit disbelief of like, but growth, it requires so much hard work that surely we can't do it with less stress. But I'm here to say that it is, and it's possible because I do it with my clients and they tell me that it works. So it is possible, but that isn't to say it isn't hard work and that you can eliminate stress entirely. You can't, but there is definitely a way, and I want to talk about it through today, that you can gain more control over your business and your life and all the benefits that bring. Hello to those as people are still dropping in, so thank you for dropping in. You've not missed anything yet. Just so you know, I am recording this. I will upload it onto YouTube. If you want to go back later and see any bit and revisit any part of this talk, you'll be able to do that. Anything else I've got to say before I start? No, I don't think so. Other than if I move on to the next slide and just talk about today's agenda. Thank you, everybody, for giving up your lunchtime on a Tuesday. There is a QR code in the bottom left-hand corner of most of the slides in this presentation. If you can't make it to the end for any reason and you want to book a call with me, you just hold your phone camera up to that QR code and it will take you to my calendar and you can book a session with me. So do that. If you want to progress anything that we talk about today, want to just chat to me and talk more about it, use that and it will be up at the end as well, at the end of the session. Right, so what is my aim to do today? So I want to provide you with advice and guidance. I'm going to talk to you through things that will enable you to control your business more, to grow your business more, to reduce your stress, which is part of the topic today. Things that you can walk away with and you can do today. Things to get you thinking about how you can be in a better position. So I'll go through those things. At the end of it, I'll also introduce you. I've got a special coaching program for business owner founders called Founders Reboot. I'll talk to you about that at the end. There'll also be time for Q&A at the end. So use the chat. We've been testing the chat already. You can send questions to me. Don't worry if you can't see it. I can see it. We've tested it. There's a Q&A as well. Just put anything in. If you want to come ask me anything during the session, just put something in and I'll come back to it, I promise. Right. So without further ado, let's get cracking. So just to give you a bit of context with me and my solutions and what I do. So this topic today is about growing your business and it's about reducing your stress at the same time. Now, to be really clear, I'm not a well-being coach. There's obviously a lot of people out there who do that, who help you manage your well-being, and that's great, but it's not something I do. What I do is I help people control and grow their businesses, and as a byproduct of that, they feel less stressed. But I'm working more on the kind of root cause and the thing that will enable them to be a better business owner and a less stressed business owner. I don't work on the kind of well-being consequences of running a business. So just to be clear on that, this is what I do. It's about the fundamentals of your business is what I'm mostly interested in. I also don't do time hacks, success cheats, cheat codes, all this kind of like nonsense about, well, if you just do this one thing, you'll suddenly become a multimillionaire and this is your key to all your success and your life streams. Like, I don't do any of that nonsense. I'm going to post about this on LinkedIn later this week, actually, about decided to call my business an AI bullshit free zone, because at the moment, we're getting so much snake oil messages around AI, and the solution to everything is this little bit of AI, and it's probably from people who don't even know what artificial intelligence really is. So I'm more interested in the fundamental stuff of like you as a business owner, how you run your business, that kind of element. That's what I'm interested in. You'll understand this as I go through more, but there's no fast track cheat shortcut to this stuff. But if you follow the principles I talk about today, I promise you this is the fastest way to do it. So it's not, there's no quick, easy solution, but if you follow this process, this is the way to have a path towards a more successful business and ultimately a less stressful, better well-being. So why is it that we're stressed when we run a business? I'm a business owner myself. I know what this feels like. And how does it hold us back? So I'm interested. I'm just going to go through a list here. And this is my experience. I've worked in a variety of sectors, a variety of organizations. And I speak to a lot of business owners right now and what I do. These are the most common things that I see. So have a think when I'm going through this list, like which of these is most applicable to you and your situation. So your business owners spending all your time firefighting, you feel like you can't make time for strategy or important changes because you're just running from pillar to post all the time, fixing things, keeping customers happy, keeping staff happy, whatever it might be, keeping the technology from, stopping it from falling over, whatever it might be, solving problems. Is this something that you experience? There's constant need to firefight all the time and you never feel like you're on the front foot. Being too hesitant to make changes. So I speak to a lot of people where they know they want to make changes and they often know what the change is, but there's a doubt in their mind. And so they hold on to it and they don't do it. They don't take action. And so what that leads to is procrastination. So being hesitant, procrastinating, is this something that you're experiencing right now? Another thing you might be experiencing is just not feeling focused. And actually, you don't know of all the things you could do, what's the one you need to do? What's the opportunity you need to seize? And just feeling like there's just too much choice. I don't know what to do. You don't have focus and therefore you're not proactive. Fourthly, many people get into a trap of feeling like they're serving their business when originally when they set it up, they wanted the business to serve them. So we set it up with our dreams, like this is what my business is going to be, this is what my lifestyle is going to be. But it actually turns out to be, I feel like I'm just serving the business, I'm a slave to it. And what happens is you get a shift in your relationship with your business where the thing you were most joyful and excited about at the start becomes a burden and you actually become to resent it. And it's a really common sort of transition that happens over time. And then the fifth one is about having ambitions beyond profit, beyond your business, and you haven't been able to prioritize it. I see this a lot with business owners. They tell me, I started my business because I wanted more free time. I wanted to do stuff for my family, or maybe they had other personal ambitions, challenges they wanted to take on, or they wanted to do volunteering or a lifestyle thing or a learning thing, whatever it might be. But often that personal goal just kind of falls by the wayside because we're so busy serving the business and keeping it going and fighting the fires. So drop me in the chat, which of these from 1 to 5, which of these most resonates with you? Which one is most pertinent, do you think, to your situation? Is it about the firefighting? Is it the focus? Is it about not having not being too hesitant? Let me know. Put it in the chat. Tell me what it is, because if you can let me know, it will make it much easier. James is saying 2, so being hesitant. That's a really common one, and I see it a lot, and I think it's actually one of the most underestimated problems that business owners have. Stuart's saying 4, so it's becoming like a burden serving your business, right? Okay. The things I'm going to talk about today, Trace is definitely 2. Yeah, so the things I'm going to talk about today help you with all 5 of these things. But it's just really helpful to know where it is that each of you are and what it is that you're particularly fighting. Oh, Luca says 3. Okay, thank you, Luca. So it's interesting. We've got a real mix today. It's really helpful. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. So just to give you a little bit more of an introduction to me. So my name is Joe Morrison. I'm a business owner. I'm a qualified performance coach. Something really important to know about coaching is that there's a lot of coaches out there who aren't qualified. And they can be perfectly good and know what they do, but there's often a lot of confusion, including amongst coaches, about what coaching even is. It's really important that coaches understand and can articulate what they're offering and have the background, the training to be able to do it well. So just so you know, I am a qualified performance coach. I do know what I'm talking about. I know the difference between coaching, mentoring, and consulting. A lot of people do not. I've got 20 plus years experience. I know I'm older than I look. In making change happen. I'm a chartered marketer, and I've worked in a really wide variety of sectors. And what I like to do, I'll tell you about that in a moment, but the thing I like to do is enable entrepreneurs to do what they do best, which is to be on the front foot, making change happen, making things happen. I talk a lot about this on LinkedIn. If you want to, you probably are, most of you already connected with me on LinkedIn, but if not, you can use that QR code and you can connect with me. I always welcome that. But what I'm interested in doing, and this is the content I put out, is about how to put you back on the front foot so that when you're running your business, it isn't running you, and you're not just firefighting and all the things that we've just talked about. That's what I want to help people do, because I've been through it, a lot of these things myself. And the kind of core principle behind my business and what I do is I believe that progress depends on founders. We as a society, we depend on people like you creating new things, creating businesses, creating initiatives, whatever it might be. I want you to realize that what you do is a really important and select skill that most people in society either cannot or are not willing to do themselves. I've worked in lots of organizations with very competent people who are very good managers. They can manage people or money or whatever it might be. But what they really struggle with is to create new initiatives or new products or new services. If you've already done it once, to me, that's a great marker. And this is why I like to work with people like yourself, because if you've done it once, you can do it again. You can improve, you can create new things, you can reframe what you're doing. That's why I like to work with people like you. We all depend on people like you. So I think, like, give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself a bit of credit. Sometimes you've got this far, because so many people cannot do that. And it's a really important lesson and something you should be very proud of and should give you confidence for going forward. And just to give you a kind of snapshot, I've worked with like organizations of all types and sizes, essentially. I've worked with startups, I've worked with big corporates, I've worked with trendy ad agencies, I've worked with investment companies, I've worked with professional bodies, like a whole load of things I've done. And I've done a really wide, the summing up what I do is a real breadth of things I've been involved in. And I've got a wide variety of experience looking across the board on organizations, right from like, how do we attract people? How do we keep them? How do we keep the data going and, clean and serviceable so we can give people the best customer experience? And I've worked a lot in coaching, leadership, and transformation. But that's just to give you an idea, like a snapshot. I've had successes. I've mainly focused on creating new products, turning around failing channels, securing investment. I've done lots of work in positioning and brand, like reviving brands, this kind of thing. But, all very well and good. But what also contributes to what I can share is my many failures and the countless concepts, tests, and experiments that didn't work that I've tried. And the reason I've got a lot of experience like that to lean on is because I like to get out of my ivory tower and I like to get my hands dirty and I like to do stuff. So I see myself as a practitioner. I'm a business owner myself. And when I was working in organizations, I was leading on innovation teams, product development teams, that kind of thing, and constantly testing and trying and measuring things and seeing what works. And for me, it's all about how do you make ideas happen, but then how do you perfect them and how do you iterate them so that they work even more better and even more profitably. That's what I'm interested in. It's all about, and I'll talk through this later, it's all about learning quickly and having a learning culture. So of all that stuff and all that wide variety of things that I've done and all those organizations I work with, what did I learn? I'm going to just sum it all up for you because this is some really important lesson to take away. There are two key factors in my experience of success. And when I've worked with and inside organizations with momentum and energy building success, these are the things that I notice in contrast to stale organizations who go through the motions and do the basics, but they're not going to rock the world in any way. The first key factor is belief, belief in what you're doing, belief in what you have to offer, having a vision, having a purpose, being really clear on that, and then communicating that energy to your team, to your customers. Belief is a really fundamental thing, and you see it with organizations with energy and creating waves in their sectors. They have that clarity of belief. The other thing that they have is proactivity. And it's a really important point, this, about making things happen and doing it quickly, thinking about what you're going to do, but not overthinking it. It's a really careful balance to find. And this is from my anecdotal experience of the work I've done and who I've worked with, but it's also, I've got stats to back it up as well. This is a study done by a company called Decision Technology, who are, I can promise you, one of the best analytical companies I've ever encountered. They did a study on culture and CEOs, and what they found with organizations is that those who have a pace-setting culture, a commercial culture, or a purposeful culture were the most likely to have high sales and have high sales growth. Commercial in this context means actually holding people to account for what they're meant to be doing. But the two I'm most interested in is pace setting and being purposeful. Because if we look at the next slide, actually, if you're purposeful and you're pace setting, not only do you get a big sales improvement on average, but you're also more likely to retain your staff as well, which commercial doesn't come out so well as. So these are the two core elements that give you the best for building a really successful team and a good sales growth. And what they found was if you have an organization that combines purpose and pace setting, which means making decisions quickly and responding to the market, that's what pace setting means. If you can do both of those things, you've got 8% higher sales growth on average, and you'll lose 25% less staff each year. I mean, just take that in. Those are really significant numbers. This is what gives you the edge over the competition. Purposeful and pace setting. And of course, another word for being purposeful and pace setting is, purpose is belief, pace setting is proactivity. They're just different words for the same thing, essentially. So these are the core elements that are absolutely crucial to success. And as I mentioned earlier, the balance is reflection and analysis and creativity, like finding the time to do that, the important stuff. This is why you've got to get out of firefighting mode. You need to be able to reflect, but then you need to put stuff into action and not overthink things. So what I'm often doing with my clients is I'm working out with them, is this a business owner that needs to speed up and take more action because they're taking too long to reflect? Or are they a business that actually takes action very quickly, but then they're not actually considering the long-term strategic needs and where they need to change? It's always about that balance. I'd be interested to know, tell me in the comments, where you fit on that scale. Are you more inclined towards action, or are you more inclined towards reflection? Because it really is that kind of crucial. The balance is crucial. There's no kind of solve-all for this. It's all a very independent, personal thing. You need to be able to find the right balance for your organization, and you need to go against your type. So, are you in a situation where you feel like you're working harder and harder and harder, but your business is not moving forward? I know I've had this in my career, and I've had this with my own business, where you feel like, oh my word, I'm just doing so much work here, and it's not getting me any closer. Like, I'm not seeing the metric shift. I'm not seeing the outcomes that I want. And this is what it's about. Tracy's just saying, now I do a lot of reflecting and not enough action. Okay, so that's interesting, Tracy. So yes, in your case, it's very likely that the solution for you will be how do you speed up? I'll talk more about this as we go through. Thank you for sharing. So this is the situation. I would expect many of you are in this if you're on this, on this webinar. And this is the trap I want you to be very, very conscious of. The trap of, if I just work hard, if I just work that little bit harder, if I just push through and do this on the weekend or in all my evenings, I'm here to tell you that this is a trap that you fall into. This is never the solution. Yes, running a business is hard work. Yes, running a business is stressful. But if you're constantly in this situation where you're burning the midnight oil and you're running on fumes, the only outcome from this is burnout. It's not better performance. It's really important that you get to a point, and I've seen people do this for not just months, year after year after year after year. And it just drains their energy and their enthusiasm for their business and their soul eventually. It's like, you've got to get out of this. You have to make a conscious decision that actually, I'm going to make change. This is the one thing you can't procrastinate on. You've got to find a way to think to yourself, no, today's the day where I'm going to make a change on this. Because I've seen so many times, I say to people, are you ready? You're ready for it now. And they'd be like, no, I think I'll do it after the summer. I'll do it later on. And then you see them like a year, 2 years, 3 years later, they're still in the same situation. If you're feeling it now, how are you going to feel if you're still going to be feeling this stress in 2 or 3 or 5 years' time? You need to make that change. So it's really important to recognize this in ourselves. And what are the causes of our stress? Obviously, there's loads of things in a business that could be causing it, and it could be all of these things. But I want us to think about some things that are a bit more fundamental than just the actual triggers for this, the things we're occupied with at the moment that we're firefighting. If we don't want to feel stress, what is it that we want to feel instead? Tell me in the chat, what is it for you that you want to be? If you're feeling stressed running your business, what is it that you want? Do you want to be more free? Do you want to have just a greater sense of control? Do you want to have that sense of momentum and progress and being on the front foot? Do you want to feel rested? It's important that we ask ourselves these questions. What is it for you that you want to do? You want to have your energy back? What is it that you want? We need to identify this if we're going to make progress, because it's key to actually solving the problem. But the fundamental question, even if we can identify how we want to feel, is then to ask ourselves the question, but why? I saw this last week. Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, sometimes people call him, he posted this just as I was working actually on this presentation. I was like, oh my God, this is just like uncanny timing, because it's exactly what I wanted to talk about today, which is the root cause of burnout often lies in the lack of understanding why you're doing what you're doing. So this is why, as I say, this is why I think even kind of like looking at, some kind of well-being hacks or some time hacks and this kind of thing is not really enough, because you need to look at the root cause. Yes, they might help us day to day, but actually, if we're continuously stressed for months and years on end, we need to look at something more fundamental, and we need to understand why we're doing what I'm doing. So the question for you then is, why did you start your business? What is it that was the reason why you went on this journey in the first place? Some people, they just want to have a higher income. Some people want fun. They see it as a slightly different way of like, actually just want that security. Sometimes we start it because we're passionate about a product or an audience or an idea we want to happen. Some people just want that fun. I mean, myself, when I started my business, I just want my independence. I just like having the control myself and not having a boss. Is why I've gone down this journey. And it's the thing that keeps me going through all the challenges. So have a think. Why is it? Why did you start your business? Because it's actually key to you moving forward. And I'm going to challenge you a little bit, if I have your permission to do so, because this is what I think is actually your real problem. This is the thing that's actually going on in your head. Maybe at the back of the head, it's not kind of consciously there at the front, but it's there. It's the nagging thing. And this is what it is. The question that we all ask ourselves as business owners when we're working harder and harder and harder and we're not seeing the outcomes that we want is we're asking ourselves, do I have what it takes? Does that make sense? Tell me in the chat, tell me if this resonates with you. Like, have you asked yourself when you're working harder and harder and you're trying to get things moving and you're trying to keep on control of things, that you start to think, do you know what? Maybe the problem's me. You know, maybe it's not the product, service, or the team. Maybe it's actually me. Do I have what it takes? Tell me if this resonates with you, because this is what I find a lot with people. And I find this is kind of what's really going on, because when we talked before about things like hesitancy, and some of you acknowledged that in the chat before, that this is a problem for you. This is the kind of thing that makes us hesitant. Even if we think we've got the solution, we know actually I need to implement this for my customers or clients. And actually the thing that we're really thinking is like, do you know what, maybe it's me, maybe I don't have what it takes. Tracy, thank you, Tracy just shared something. You said you've been thinking exactly this. Thank you, Tracy, for sharing that. This is the kind of issue that we need to be honest with ourselves and issue with. And the good news is I've got solutions for you on this. These are some things my clients and business owners I talk about. Having conflict. My head says one thing, my heart says another. I'm avoiding opportunities to promote because I've got too many ideas. I don't know which to lead on. I feel I lack gravitas to make the bold choices I want to make. These are things that people have told me. And what they're ultimately all saying is, I just don't know if I'm up to it. I don't know, maybe it's me. So in answer to this question, do I have what it takes? Do you have what it takes? I'm here to tell you today a resounding yes. Yes, you do. You do have what it takes. And it's funny, isn't it? Because you're probably thinking, well, Joe, you don't know me. Like, how would you know this? But there's a couple of things that make me confident in stating this with your case. Number one is my belief that progress depends on founders. And if you're running a business already, you've already done it once, you're already in that small subset of people, you can do it again. I'm very confident with this. And it's something we need to get our heads around. Is like when we start a business, our first kind of thoughts are like, we've got to keep it going. And I don't want to fold the business. I've got to keep it in business. That's our first fear. And then often we progress to a second stage where we're in this sort of stress and we're keeping it afloat. And we don't really acknowledge that actually we've gone to a new fear. At first, it was like keeping the business running. Now it's like, well, actually, how can I make the business work for me? It's a different challenge, but often we haven't moved our mindset about that. But if you've done it once, you can do it again. The second thing that gives me confidence is the solution to get to the next stage is actually very simple. And I'll talk you through it in a moment. So it gives me great confidence that you can take your business to the next level. This is the pathway. This is the fastest route. It's not a shortcut, but it is the fastest route to more growth and less stress. First of all, you've got to unearth the highest value solution for your customers and clients. It's about positioning yourself with the most value and the most value that you can communicate. So that's the first thing, and that helps you give focus to your business. The second thing is to be decisive. So this comes back to my point about pace setting and being proactive. You have to be decisive and you have to go with imperfection and just live with it and deal with it and put stuff out there, because the faster you do that, the more likely you are to get the insight you need to be able to move forward and to keep growing and to have a learning culture. And the third point is holding yourself to account so change happens. Because if we really think about it, when we're a business owner, who's actually holding us to account? Often it's no one. So, it's ourselves. But I'm here to say, like, you need someone else to hold you to account. You need to find another way of holding yourself to account. Some people put their goals up publicly and publish them, on LinkedIn or wherever it might be. Anything that helps you state, this is what I'm after, this is what I'm going to do. And I don't want to let myself down. I don't want to let people down that I've communicated that to. I'll talk more about this as well. I'll talk about all these steps. So let's start with the first one. How do you unearth high value? This is the thing that nobody tells you. If you want to unearth value, high value, the highest value that gives you more profit, you have to be brave. What does that mean? Well, it means going against your sector, being different, doing things that offer value that would look weird or strange or don't make sense to your competitors. I'm going to give you a nice tangible example of this. The wonderful Henry Hoover. Like, those of us in the UK, we're quite familiar with this face and this product, this kind of iconic little product. In an age of Dysons and ever higher tech vacuum cleaners, this Henry Hoover is the only mass-produced Hoover that's produced in the UK, the only one. And they still employ 1,000 people down in Somerset making this very strange, long-standing product. It's been around for decades. And when we think about it, putting a face on a Hoover is a fundamentally really weird thing to do. It's really, really weird. And yet, this is the only Hoover that's still made in the UK. It's the only brand that's been able to maintain that. And because it's memorable, it's personable, it's got character, and it stands out. And, it's doing something that seems weird to all the rest of us, but actually, we're almost over familiar with this now. But think about it. Put a face on a Hoover. It's very weird. And yeah, and they don't do any kind of above the line advertising. It's been able to sustain itself. The owner of this business, Pneumatic, the guy who owns it, he's worth about 150 million pounds. So this is like, a very successful medium-sized business. And it's based on doing this weird thing. But you've got to be brave. And naturally, as humans, we often feel strange to stand out, to be the different one. Like, it can be a very difficult thing for us, but we've got to be brave enough to go there, try stuff and see if it works. How do you be more decisive? How do you be more pace setting? You've got to avoid perfectionism. And the crucial thing is, you've got to focus on learning goals. So we all, we start a new product or a new service and we think, this is what we want it to achieve in terms of sales and profit. And yes, we want to be working towards those things, but actually what you first of all need to do is focus on learning. This is the big thing I took from leading innovation teams and product development teams is it's going to be wrong when you start. It's going to be wrong. The messaging is going to be wrong. Some part of the customer journey is going to be wrong. You need to focus on learning goals. Set yourself those smaller learning goals, build a learning culture. That's how you be more decisive. But if you agonize over it, it kills you. It does, because you're just constantly holding back from going forward. And while you're doing that, your competitors are moving forward and making decisions. And just to the third point about the value of holding ourselves to account, does this really make a difference? Well, if you have set a goal with an accountability partner, there's a 65% chance you're going to achieve that goal. So if you say to your partner, I'm going to do this by when, more than likely than not, you're going to achieve it. 2/3 of the time, that person will achieve it. If you meet continuously with that accountability partner, that rises to 95%. So it's a near certainty you will make progress if you meet continuously with someone to help you hold yourself to account. It's a really big difference. It's a very simple way of moving yourself forward. having that process of an accountability partner, if we just hold on to it ourselves and just say, yeah, I'll get around to it, I'll do it next week, I'll do it next month. We've all been there. I've been there. I know what it's like. You don't end up doing it. And I'll talk about how it's made a difference for me as well. But all of this stuff that I've talked about, so it's a very simple process that I've described there, but it only works if you're willing to make a thorough examination of yourself. And I put honestly on the slide here, because it's about understanding the true habits, strengths, weaknesses, blind spots that we all have. We've all got them. We've all got natural tendencies. And when we're an owner for a business, it plays out into our business. So, I don't work with people who have enormous egos and are not willing to kind of examine themselves, because they're not going to find the blind spots that we need to work on to improve their performance of the business. So you've got to be willing to examine yourself honestly. You've also got to look at your business holistically. You've got to take the helicopter view of it. And too few business owners actually take the time to do this. And it's really simple to do. It's very easy to do. And once you do it and you actually lay your business out on one page, it's remarkable how easy it is to make decisions. But you've got to look at these two things hand in hand. You've got to look at yourself and you've got to look at your business from a holistic helicopter viewpoint of view. I hope this is all making sense. Tell me if there's anything, put questions in or anything that's not clear. One of my clients on my program Founders Reboot said I wasn't reflecting, I was just moving from one task to another. Does this sound familiar? Just going from thing to thing to thing to thing, and then not looking at herself, not looking at her business as an overall. This is the process that I do with my clients. So, in fact, actually, this is the first thing I'm going to talk about my business, because I mentioned before, actually, how I've applied this process to my business. So my business is called Craft and Scale. I've been in business for 6.5 years. I've done a mix of consulting and coaching for a wide variety of clients and sectors during that time. I've always had a healthy pipeline, consistently strong profit, mostly going off my network. But what I had recently is a change in family circumstances, and that led to a need that I had to generate greater profit in less time. So what have I done about that? I've practiced what I preach. By doing this, I've been able to triple my sales calls in 6 months. Very quick change. First of all, as I talked about before, it's about looking at yourself. So I looked at my personal insight. What was my blind spot that I needed to address? So for me, it was about a lack of visibility. I was too focused on delivering for clients and going deep and doing the best job I could possibly do for my clients. And I wasn't communicating out enough to the wider world and consistently about what I'm doing and what I can offer. So that was the thing, that was the fundamental thing I needed to change about myself that impacted my business. The second thing was about creating unique value. So I created the Founders Reboot program because by having it packaged up, it's stuff I've been doing with dozens of clients for years, but by putting it into a package with clear steps, I increase the value of what I'm offering, and I'm also focusing on a much tighter audience. So that's all about creating value and communicating value. And part of that communication was like being more visible on LinkedIn, doing the webinars like this, building my LinkedIn where it worked. Absolutely fundamental to me is being to engage with more people on my network on LinkedIn. So a really focused plan that's come out the back of this. And the other thing I want to talk about is having external coaching support. So yes, even coaches need coaches. There's 2 times in my career, 2 important times when I've relied on coaching support. Number one was when I started my business. That was what gave me the confidence and the accountability to go and actually start my business 6 or 7 years ago. The second time was now pivoting my business because of this need of like having to change, more profit in less time, creating Founders Reboot. I've had external coaching support, I've had clear tests and goals, and I've got a process to hold myself to account. So I've applied it to myself and I've needed it in this crucial step within my business. These are the things that I focus on with clients in Founders Reboot. Finding focus for the business, the communication aspect. So it's all very well creating the value, but you've got to be able to communicate it. And I help people to do that. I teach them how to do it. I help them workshop it so that they can communicate. You need to be able to communicate, because we know in business, the sales don't go to the best serving company. They go to the best communicators. That's the sad reality of the world, but it is. So you've got to be there competing with them on a communication point of view. If you're not a great communicator, if you need to improve how you articulate your value and your product and your brand, you need to work in this area. And the third thing is about accountability. For all the reasons I've talked about, if you have a way of holding yourself to account, you're just much more likely to make that progress. And what that gives you is greater control of your business, strategic productivity, reduced stress as a consequence, and more profit. This is what we want. And this is everything I do in Founders Reboot. It's a 4-step process, and these are literally all the things that we do with it. And it's all about adding up to a process where, and making it as easy as possible so that you as a business owner can take a step forward. You've got that greater control over your business, and you've got that proactivity. And as a consequence, you're feeling less stressed about it. Now, the key thing is about who I work with. I'm not interested in building a long-term kind of commitment of like 6 months or a year to make all this stuff happen, because it's not practicing what I preach. What I've talked about here and what I've demonstrated is you've got to be proactive and you've got to move fast. So this is how I like to make my coaching product and my coaching program. Is it doesn't need to take 6 months to do this. It's not complicated. It certainly doesn't need to take a year. We do this together in 2 months from start to finish. So all of these things that you're agonizing over, you've got the hesitancy over, and you're thinking, I should be making that progress. I'm not. In 2 months working together, we get it done and we move on, and that's it. It really is very, very simple. Now, what I've done is I've tried to consolidate all the things all the questions, techniques, and tasks that I know work over a long, varied career. I've just boiled it down to, I know these are the fundamental things I need to work with the client on so they can move forward. And we just get it done in a 2-month process. And we work through this about unearthing what is the higher value you can offer, how you can be more decisive, which obviously goes into a lot of personal analysis, and then how do you hold yourself to account? I offer you a way of doing that. So what I'm offering in my Founders Reboot, I said before, I would mention this at the end, it's an 8-week program that's designed to give you control, it's going to give you growth, and it's designed to give you freedom, and ultimately less stress as a consequence of doing those things. So just to give you an overview of how it actually works in reality, we meet one-to-one online once a week for 8 weeks. It's a 90-minute session. So what we do is we allocate a time and we stick to it. It's all, I schedule it in. As soon as you want to do it, we put in the same regular time, gives you that accountability. If it's say Monday mornings, we just meet on Monday mornings, same time each week. And I set up everything for you. I've made it as easy as possible because I know how busy you are and how you've got to juggle everything else. So I set it all up for you and we're all good to go. And we work on you and we work on your business, because that's the holistic solution that you need to move forward. And what it is it's a mixture of coaching, mentoring, promoting your business and communication, but also creating simple plans so you know exactly what you're going to do next. So we get past the decisiveness problem. The coaching and the mentoring, this only comes from experience. I know when to be the coach and when to be the mentor. I have to be very careful about this. Coaching is very empowering because the solution comes from you, and 9 out of 10 of the solutions you need will come from you. Sometimes I do deploy bits of mentoring to help give you more options, but ultimately you as the business owner make the decision, because you know your business better than me. But because I've got experience in a wide variety of areas, I can ask the right prompts, the right questions, the right nudges to make you think about other ways you can create value and communicate value. So it's about a careful blend of how I'm constantly improving and iterating on this to give you a better experience as a client. And what you get from the package is you get a 15-page personal profile. So this is through using a system called DISC. Very, very, very reliable in terms of its outputs. You do a 24-page, it's about 24 not page, 24 questionnaire survey, I should say, at the start. And it gives you some insight into your characteristics, your way of communicating, how you like to work with people. And it's remarkable when we start with this, where I end up with my clients at the end, nearly always the outcome, the thing they're focused on, has been a consequence of what was made obvious in that first initial personal profile. So you get that. We do that as a start. Then we do 12 hours of one-to-one coaching over 8 weeks. Everything is online and templated. It's all set up for you. And sometimes we fill it out together. It's not very heavy on this, but there's like little elements, the key questions I'm trying to get you to commit to. I'll even sometimes type for you as a client. If I think you're in a stream of consciousness and you're getting ideas out there, I'll even be known to type for clients because they really help, because it helps them get in the flow and they get ideas and thoughts out. And then once it's down, they can make decisions. It's remarkable. And at the end of it, you have both a strategy and you have a clear action plan. And it's all based on what I've learned about innovation and product development that gets you to the next stage, gets you on the right to build that learning culture that you need. So I'm really proud of like the reviews and the feedback we've got for Founders Reboot. Clients tell me that it really helps with their focus, saving them time and energy because they're not agonizing anymore, having that clarity, wanting to go forward, feeling they're in that good position. Brandy's one of my clients I was speaking to the other week. She talked the other day about, I'd love this. She just mentioned, she said, I realized I had a power that I didn't feel I had before. And I said, I'm going to quote you on that because that's just like a brilliant way of encapsulating that she now feels in control. She's got a power that she didn't have because she was too confused with too many ideas when we started. Claire talked about she needed to be forced to make choices. She was procrastinating. She had too much like analysis paralysis. She needed to make choices, and that process helped her to do that. Will talked about it being both reflective and action orientated, getting that balance. That's exactly what I'm here to do, to help you do. Jane said she wanted her business to feel exciting, like it was at the start, before I became overwhelmed with tasks. And that's the thing I really enjoy. That's what gives me satisfaction, is seeing the energy return to my clients and they feel like they're ready to move on and actually go and, feel like the business is doing what they wanted it to do in the first place, fulfilling those goals, those personal ambitions, the more time, if that's what it was, the less stress, the more freedom, whatever it was. That's what I need to give you that. To qualify for it, you have to be a founder or an entrepreneur or business owner that's responsible for strategy. So you've got to be the person who's mainly in control of like where we should be going here. You need that to qualify. And the question I want to ask you today is, how much longer are you willing to accept underperformance? If you know your business can go to another level, how much longer are you willing for it to be like that? And the stress that creates from feeling like, I know some of you might be, I really need to improve performance to stay in business. Some of you might be thinking like, well, I can cover the bills, but I really want to be earning more. I want more profit, or I want to expand, or I've got bigger ambitions. Like whatever your situation, the same process all applies. But that stress that comes with it will only go away if you take a proactive decision to do something. And this is my challenge to you. My challenge to you today is, if it's not today, will you take action? Because I do meet a lot of people who aren't right for the program. And it will be because they go, well, I'm a bit busy at the moment. I'll come back to it in 3 or 4 months. Or I'll do it next year. Or and tomorrow just never comes. You've got to get to a point, if it's causing you stress and it's not meeting your ambitions, you need to make a conscious decision to make a change. You need to make a change, because I guarantee you, if you don't make a change of some sort, you'll still be in the same position in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time, in 12 months' time. This is about accountability, and it's about making a conscious, getting the control back. So you're back in control again. That's what it should be about. So if you're ready to go again, have that business feel like it did at the start. Just to let you know, the next cohort of Founders Reboot, I've got 6 slots left. And as I said, what we do is we allocate a consistent slot for you, make it really easy. So we've got Monday mornings, Monday lunchtimes, Tuesday mornings, like whatever you pick. If you want that slot, the one that's best for you, you have to hurry, because it's first come, first served. And just to note, so I work with one client on evening. So there's always somebody who's like, do you know what? Realistically, I'm never going to do the Founders Reboot sessions in the daytime. So for people like that, I offer one evening slot. The price is slightly higher, but it's there available to you. And again, it's first come, first serve. If you want the evening slot, you have to grab it if you want to take that. The cost of Founders Reboot is $19.90. It's slightly higher for the evening slot if you want it. That's an early bird price for my next cohort. And if you commit to it before Monday the 22nd, you'll save £500. So it's quite a big chunk of the cost. If you, because I want to help you to be that decisive person that's going to get back in control. So that's the offer. If you want to split it into 2 payments, 2 installments, you can do that. I'm happy to do that. And the other thing I offer you is a free accountability call to keep you on track. So we do 8 weeks of Founders Reboot. And then at the end of it, we schedule another call to hold you to account. You'll say to me, right, okay, I want to meet in 2 months' time, because I really want to crack the thing we've decided I'm going to focus on. And I want you to hold me to account, Joe. Let's meet in 2 months or 1 month or 3 months, whatever it is for you. That's when we'll schedule it for. And you get that as free as an extra addition, as a bonus, as a Founders Reboot client. And just as a reminder of what you get the 15-page disc personal profile, which is really insightful. You get the 12 hours of one-to-one coaching and mentoring with me. It is with me. This is just all with me. You get everything templated online and accessible. And from that, you'll have built, and you'll have it as an end product, a strategy and a clear action plan. So the way to do it is you need to set up, if you're interested, you need to set up a call with me, and we then see if we're a good fit for each other, because sometimes we're not. And it has to be, I have to be the right coach for you, and you've got to be in the right position, the right mentality to take this forward. Because as I say, I don't work with those who aren't ready to commit to it. But if you're at that stage where actually, I don't want to be dealing with this stress forever, and I want to have a more effective, more efficient business that's serving me, set up a call, use the QR code, or drop me a DM in LinkedIn. You can also find a link to my calendar on foundersreboot.com as well. The Calendly thing is in there. So at the QR code, you hold your phone up, hold your camera up to that QR code. It will take you to my calendar. You book a slot in. I've got 12 slots out for the next week. So if you're, so you just set it up the time that's best for you, and then we'll have a talk about it, and we'll talk about your situation. What are your challenges? What are your ambitions? And I'll give you, I'll advise you as best I can, and just see if we're a good fit to take it forward. But there we are. I always get a dry throat by the end of doing these webinars. I hope that was valuable. Please tell me in the chat, what's the one thing that's really struck you today, or the thing that resonated or has got you thinking, or maybe challenged you a little bit. Let me know, or maybe it was a tip or something about the process that was a bit new to you. Let me know what it is, because I'd really be interested to hear. And this is the feedback I need as well, is to understand what it is for you that was most interesting. Also, feel free to ask me a question if you've got something you want to know about anything I've talked today. Just give me a moment. I'll have a drink. Look at that timing. It's 3 minutes to the hour. I mean, I have to say, I'm quite proud of that. If no one has any other questions, I hope that was really valuable to you. Really good to speak to you today. And I really hope that it's given you something to think about that you can do so you can get your business back on the front foot. And, as I said before, if you're having that doubt about, do I have it within me? I really mean this, like you do have it within you. There's always changes you can make. And once you go through the process, it's amazing how simple it is that you can get back on the front foot if you take the right steps and you taking that examination of yourself. Thank you, Joe. Joe's made the comment there. Yeah, good to see you too. Hope you're well. And I really appreciate it. Really appreciate your time. So what I'll do is I'll wrap up, set up a call with me. Look forward to speaking with you. Thanks again. Do give me a comment on my LinkedIn posts. Give me some feedback. What was helpful today? I really appreciate it. And I'm always keen to learn when I do these, what's resonating for people, what's valuable, and what do you want more? Like, let me know if there's anything else that I could do that would be helpful. Yeah, thank you, Tracy. Good to meet you. Thanks very much for attending. And then dead on time, absolutely dead on time, I'll let you go. Good to speak to you all today. Have a really great day. Have a really great summer as well. Thank you.